Yes, we are.
Okay, that's great. So I'm just
Yes. So, hello, assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're back again with Hustlers Meetup for the third time. Um, After our two in-person meetups, we decided to hold a virtual one on popular demand. And just to give you a background, Hustlers Meetup is basically a collaboration between Tubitech and Grit Coaching. Tubitech is headed by Tala Fakir, who is the CEO, and he's running this wonderful digital agency. And Grit, for those of you who do not know, is a learning and development platform digitizing the self-development industry. And today we have with us very special guests, Zarfishar and Malik Mudassir Saab and Muhammad Awais, who will be joining us shortly. So since we are startups, Grit and Tubitech, we thought that sharing something and working around the challenges faced by startups is something very important, because only somebody who is struggling can understand the plight of another startup founder. So hence we started having these meetups, and slowly they have picked up pace. And Tala will go ahead and introduce himself and some of the guests that we have today.
sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Tija. And I believe we collaborated and we discussed this meetup uh, over a short WhatsApp message. I believe we started our first meetup 3 days before. We decided to go to conduct a meetup for the startup founders, and we successfully conducted this meetup. And the series goes on. And I believe this meetup is also very helpful for the people who are in the startup ecosystem, who just want who want to start their own ventures, or for those who wants to excel in their lives by gradually starting their own ventures. So we have Malik Mudassir. Malik Mudassir Saab is my mentor as well. We connected in the COVID-19 in a conference called Lift Conference. So I believe I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from this ecosystem. So and we have Zarfisha. Zarfisha Tayyib is also with us. So Mr. Dija, can we start with the Malik Mudassir?
Yes, of course. Malik
Yes.
Saab is the founder of App Jenny and the CTO of Dharpar Technologies, and is also an executive member of PASHA, the Pakistan Software Association.
Software House
So
Association.
yes, thank you for correcting me. So Malik Saab, please, can you share with us more about the growth of startups in Q4, especially when it comes to the Pakistani ecosystem?
Thank you so much, Ji, first of all, for inviting me, and very humbled to be here with you guys. You guys can hear me loud and clear? I just want to make sure first.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, Dekhe, let's go back and let's evaluate what we have done uh in last 5 quarters first. Okay, and we'll start with the Q3 of 2021. Okay, we had nearly 175 or 174 million dollars coming in Q3 for those are 2001. It dropped seriously, and we had a 71 or 72 million dollars coming in Q4 for 2021. जैसे ही Q1 initiate होता है for 2022, we again saw spike because some of very brilliant startups actually jumped in. Okay, and that includes we actually raised from the value of nearly 174, 175 in Q3. We jumped on 177, yeah, 180 somewhere in the quarter one for 2022. अब देखें ये spikes हमेशा इसी तरह ही रहेंगे. They're going to go up, go down, they're going to go up, go down. But unfortunately, due to the post-COVID issues or due to the problems we've seen after COVID, the trend is still going down for the Q1, Q2, and for the Q3 so far. Okay, the trend went from 180 to nearly half, takriban to $100 million, and going still down to nearly 60 to 70 in between. Lekin we need to understand there were issues. Because there are three phases. First of all, let's go phase by phase. There was a pre-COVID phase, we call it, and then the COVID phase, and then the post-COVID issues. Pre-COVID phase was simple, neat, clean. We were all having, you know what, blast. बड़े अच्छे startups आ रहे थे, बड़े अच्छे audience आ रही थी, अच्छे investors आ रहे थे, VCs आ रहे थे, conferences हो रही थी. Things were on a roll. But as soon as the COVID hit, there were two different types of psychologies which jumped in. If we call about the real estate thing, the investment went down, but the real buyers came up. Okay, so investment ke point of view say it went all down, but from the real buyer's point of view, for the end product buyer point of view, it went up and people start purchasing. Okay. But there was a panic which can be translated in what is going on right now. Okay, and that is very severe, because during the COVID portion of during the COVID time, we're not sure about if we are going to spend or if we are going to buy. In between हमारे पास जब obviously जब trends up जा रहे थे, तो the investment was coming, especially in Pakistan. Investment was coming in a pretty decent way, and I can name but let's not name. We'll just segregate them and based on the real tech, retail tech, or ed tech, or fintech, or commerce, or HR point of view, say, or CRMs or ERP. So we'll divide them in that way. Total 11 deals. Okay, total amount raised in Q3 for 2022 is $48.6 million. Series A पे एक है, series seed के ऊपर 3 है, और pre-seed के ऊपर 2 है. These are all the statistics which are coming actually from the Pakistan startup ecosystem, which was done by Alpha Beta Core. So अगर ABC का ये सारे के सारे statistics को देखें, तो so far the growth trajectory is going in negative right now. ठीक है, but the domains and dimensions have opened up. Pehle we were very much focused on a custom software development, ERPs and CRMs. Okay, the trajectory in during the COVID went for e-commerce. Okay, and the e-commerce section is right now somewhere 15 to 20%, जो कि पूरे ecosystem के अंदर इस time पे एक बड़ा significant portion है. दूसरी चीज जो बहुत ज्यादा इंजेक्ट हुई है, that is fintech. ठीक है, इस टाइम जो सबसे बड़ी इन्वेस्टमेंट आई थी, जो कि डी बैंक की थी, फॉर 17 million या $18 million. That is for a fintech startup. ठीक है, even the second best one as per the report is OneLoad, which is again $11 million. Then there was an e-commerce one, I believe recently price हुई की थी for $6 or $7 million. I believe $7 to $8 million के दरमियान थी वो एक. ठीक है, so we do have things coming in, but right now in Q3 they're not much satisfactory as they should be. Q4 again, we need to stay hopeful that yes, in Q4 we have some more deals coming in. We need to stay positive, but yes, this is actually the impact of pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID impacts. ठीक है, post-COVID के ऊपर these impacts were very much forecastable. ठीक है, these are not unforeseen things. These were pretty much forecastable, because the sort of investments we were actually already giving in the last 6 to 8 months or last 12 months, they were not getting into shape. क्योंकि जो pre-COVID की investments थी उनके ऊपर we had a big fallback. We had a big issue. We actually faced quite a big issues. अगर आपको पता हो, recently we had some of the companies going down when it comes to their human resources, or actually downsizing, or at some point of time actually closing the companies, including Airlift or some of the big names, Sendoso, Swell, all of them went down. Okay, which is not, which actually creates, you know what, a sense of a hopelessness a little bit. Probably the wrong word, but it actually drove things in a way where we were not expecting. Because, but again, uh, I see the positive part of it, and the way I see the positive part is that at least we were part of the global ecosystem. We were recognized. Okay, we were named as the best startup community. ठीक है, we are a very small community of people. ठीक है, अगर आप सिर्फ टेक के लोगों की बात करें तो normally we say that कि it's around like 0.5 million से 0.7 million के दरमियान लोग हैं जो डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली टेक से वाबस्ता है. सो टेक्नोलॉजी के स्टैक के अंदर रहते हुए 1 मिलियन की कम्युनिटी या लेस देन 1 मिलियन की कम्युनिटी के अंदर itne tech startups ka aana, on top of that, getting funded from $100,000 to like $17 million is not a small thing. Then your Airlift was one of the I'm not going to say one of the failures, but Airlift is one of the prime examples which gives us confidence that this is the right environment for anyone to try a product. Okay, and this particular zone, this particular South Asian region can give you a quick result to uh, to plan your future. Okay, so based on that, again, I'm at no cost I'm going to say that I am not hopeful for Q4. There are so many regime change. Yes, if there is a regime change, then it can impact us. But as long as we are discussing about the startup community, it is again rising. The startup community is again getting into fundings. और मजे की बात ये है कि we have so many events coming up. For example, Gitex is coming up. We have Web Summit Lisbon coming up. Then we have MWC coming up. We have Leap coming up. और इस तरह के जब events आ रहे होते हैं, we've seen that growth in the Pakistani startup ecosystem with all those events go parallel. Okay, with the small companies getting converted into a product or a services company, then raising investments, going into these sort of events, coming back with a number, actually adds on to the confidence and adds on to the economy of startup ecosystem. So inshallah ta'ala, uh, from my point of view, from my side, I believe inshallah ta'ala, Q4 is going to be very hopeful for all of us. And then the Q1 for 2023 is going to be very exciting, inshallah ta'ala. So that's like from my side, my point of view, and I want everyone to stay positive and hopeful for all these sort of numbers which are coming in. You in the startup ecosystem, there is one thing we need to understand: you never lose. You either win or you learn. Okay, so this is our learning curve right now. So with this learning curve, either we go back and see what were the nitty-gritties, what were the small issues which made us go into the failure state. Let's learn those. Let's actually sit with the people who were part of that drive. Sit with them, learn from them, and make sure that we have something result oriented coming out of it. Okay, and as soon as we start learning all these sort of things, I can promise you the trajectory is going to just go up, because we have the right pool of talent available in this community. We have the right pool of the testing environment available. Okay, we have the land of this Pakistan is the land of opportunities right now. Anywhere across the globe, it is very hard to test the community, because if you go to the Afrozone is either way too rich or way too low. In Pakistan, you have all these strata to test anything. Okay, and at that is super important, because that's the core litmus test for any startup, from health tech or from ed tech or from e-commerce or from any particular domain. So Talha, this is my point of view. I am very hopeful. I'm very positive. And obviously with the new channels coming in through Pasha, PSEP, SECP, all those forces combining together, inshallah ta'ala, is going to bring in a very positive sign for everyone, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah Taala, inshallah. Sir, very interactive talk by you. I just have one question, one thought from you. Maybe it's very easy for it can be helpful for all of us. इन्वेस्टर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर मैं बात करूं कि लेट से आपके पास थॉट्स आ रही होंगी, केस स्टडीज आती हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा पिच डेक्स आती हैं, सॉल्यूशंस की तरफ लोग ज़्यादा इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं या सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स की तरफ, क्योंकि सर्विस
यार
प्रोवाइडर की भी
ये
कुछ
दो
यूएसपीज
अलग
होती
अलग
हैं।
ब्लड ग्रुप्स हैं। देखिए, वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, ये दो अलग अलग ब्लड ग्रुप्स हैं। एक को कहते हैं ये पी पॉजिटिव है और एक है एस पॉजिटिव। ठीक है, तो हम किसी को नहीं कह सकते कि आई एम अ सर्विसेज कंपनी। ठीक है, एज अ सर्विसेज कंपनी, it is it is very different. It's just different for me to understand what a product is. ठीक है, and same goes for the product. जो investment है, that is in most of the cases that is for the products. ठीक है, वो SaaS product भी हो सकती है, वो custom software solution product like ERMs और CRPs के ऊपर हो सकती है, CRMs और ERPs के ऊपर हो सकती है. And to an extent, it is very safe to say that yes, most of the fundings are going to go for a product.
अच्छा, लेकिन मेरा इसमें एक टेक है कि क्योंकि सर्विस प्रोवाइडर, जैसे आपने बात की, मैं भी एक जो टू बी टेक है वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर है, और एक मेरा छोटा सा नया वेंचर स्टार्टेड है जो कि SaaS सॉल्यूशंस की तरफ है, तो ट्रेंड है। तो मैं एक्चुअली अपनी लर्निंग के लिए पूछ रहा हूँ कि इसमें लोगों का इंटेंट होता है, सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स की भी कुछ यूएसपीज होती हैं। लेट से अगर आप बात करें कि वो XYZ करके यूएसपीज होती हैं, और फॉर द टू सपोर्ट द प्रोडक्ट साइड, क्योंकि अगर आप प्रोडक्ट साइड पे देखें तो लोग इन्वेस्ट करते हैं कि अच्छा टेक स्टैक हो और अच्छा जो है ना वो आर्किटेक्चर हो, अच्छी टेक्नोलॉजीज को यूज़ किया जाए। उसके लिए ऑब्वियसली बात है, अच्छी फंडिंग रिक्वायर्ड होती है। और इवन दो कि व्हेन यू आर इन द आइडिएशन स्टेट्स, आपको इन्वेस्टर के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा जो है ना स्ट्रगल करनी पड़ती है इन टू रेज सम इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, या तो फिर आप पॉकेट से लगा रहे हो, वो एक बूटस्ट्रैपिंग की तरफ आ जाती है बाहर। और अगर वो आइडिया वैलिडेशन ना की हो, आपने अपने प्रॉस्पेक्ट से डिस्कशन ना की हो, तो वो एक आपका जो है ना कुछ दिन के बाद वो बबल में जो है ना वो एक नीडल लगती है और वो बूम खत्म। तो उस चीज़ को निगलेक्ट करने के लिए मैंने था कि लोग अक्सर यूएस, मतलब जिस तरह बैक एंड फोर्थ सपोर्ट होती है डिफरेंट वेंचर्स के साथ, और कुछ लोग बिलीव करते हैं इंडिविजुअलिज्म पे कि एवरीथिंग कैन बी डन इंडिविजुअली, और कुछ डिस्कशन करते हैं कि छोटे छोटे चंक्स को डिवाइड करते हैं, जिसमें वो कुछ पॉइंट्स किसी एक सर्विस से ले रहे होते हैं, कुछ वो किसी प्रोडक्ट से ले रहे होते हैं, और अपने अपने कोर एक्सपर्टीज के अंदर वो जो है ना को फाउंडर्स के लिए अपना वो एक चंक्स भी डिवाइड कर रहे हैं। तो मेरा ये था कि लोग किस तरह से इसको टेंड करते हैं, कि क्या वैलिडेशन स्टेट क्या होती है, आइडिएशन के अंदर लोग किस तरह से इन्वॉल्व होते हैं।
यार, honestly, let's be very fair कि you need to decide, you want to go for a product or you want to go for services, because services is very exciting. At the same time, product is exciting once you're done with it, once you're going to once you go live, it becomes very exciting. But for I don't think I can comprehend or I can actually give you the right answer for it, because I'm not a product guy. Okay, if I'm a product guy, I can give you a bifurcation of on where to go and how to divide that. Because the concept है ना यार कि let's design a product and let's work on a product while we are in the services is not super doable. ठीक है, because देखो ये दोनों अलग अलग टाइप के बच्चे हैं। इन दोनों की ग्रूमिंग और ग्रोथ के लिए ना आपको अलग अलग टाइप का एनवायरनमेंट चाहिए होता है। ठीक है, बट एट द सेम टाइम अगर एक सेम दो सीड्स आपने एक एक जगह पे एक क्यारी में डाले हैं, ठीक है, और वो ग्रो नहीं कर पा रहे, तो आप उसके लिए उस मिट्टी को जो है ना वो नहीं कह सकते, आप उस मिट्टी पे इल्जाम नहीं लगा सकते। देयर आर सो मेनी एलिमेंट्स कि यार उसको सनलाइट मिल रही थी नहीं मिल रही थी, आपने पानी दिया कि नहीं दिया, फर्टिलाइजर डाला कि नहीं डाला, so all those things combined together, and then you actually build a product or a services company, ठीक है, but growing them in parallel is sometimes very tough, क्योंकि आपका जो थॉट प्रोसेस और आपकी जो डिजाइन थिंकिंग रिक्वायरमेंट है ना वो दोनों के लिए बड़ी डिफरेंट है। सो I'll be very I'll actually be very tough for me
Blunt.
to I'll be very blind saying that, to be very honest, and I don't want to say anything wrong because I'm not a product guy.
Sure, sir. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Malik Sab, I have a question for you.
जी
जी, तो अक्सर there's incubators and investors who say that they're open to pre-seed funding, but what I've noticed across board is unless a company is generating a certain amount of revenue, nobody really invests in it. So what requirements or how great does the idea need to be for somebody to be able to raise funds or pitch it to investors when they're not generating revenue as yet?
Acha, from because we invest as well, so I can give you a very clean answer on that, rather. And that is that you don't invest in ideas, or you don't invest in product, you don't invest in services, you invest in people. Okay, so that is very important. For example, I am going to just name like people, and I am going to name in a way that, for example, the team जो कि इस time पे airlift के पीछे थी, ठीक है, if they will go again somewhere, they can again raise funds. Okay, and the reason behind is that they actually have spent time. Okay, people appreciate what they have done, and people now know that they know how to fail. Okay, and they know and they've learned their part, like where they failed or what was the issues they've seen. So honestly, these are two types of investments. One is that I prefer investing in people. I don't prefer in investing in a product or services or anything tangible. But yes, there is one thing which is directly associated to it, which is your market analysis. कोई ऐसी product या कोई ऐसी चीज जिसके ऊपर आपको लगता है कि आप सही हैं और आपकी ख्वाहिशात के मुताबिक आपने एक चीज को product development में convert कर लिया है, तो शायद वहां पे मैं इख्तलाफ करूंगा, क्योंकि आपके पास एक रिक्वायर्ड डेटा नहीं है उसको उसकी जरूरत को प्रूव करने के लिए। ठीक है, अगर आपके पास रिक्वायर्ड डेटा नहीं है उसकी वर्थ और उसकी मार्केट को और उसके फ्यूचर को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए, अगर ये चीजें नहीं है तो आप किसी में भी इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे, फिर आप लोगों में भी इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे, फिर आप उस प्रोडक्ट में भी इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे। सो प्रोडक्ट एंड पीपल, in both things, 70% is people, 30% is the product. But if that 30% is not thought through properly, this means the 70% is not investable.
Thank you.
So I hope
That's
like
a
it
great
answers.
answer. Of course it does. So, Tala, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Ali, do you have any question from your side, or should we move to the next?
No.
So
Perfect.
thank you
Alright.
so much. We got a lot of insight from Malik Saab, and now moving on to Zarfishar, who will be sharing more about effective marketing strategies for startups. So Zarfishar is quite the entrepreneur. She has a lot of experience working in different markets. She's worked in China as well. So Zarfishar, please, am I pronouncing your name right, by the way?
Yeah.
So yes, so please share with us your experience and what do you think really works for a startup, because a lot of times either people are very hesitant when they have to spend money on running ad campaigns, or if they do, then they feel that they're not getting enough results and the money was not worth, it was not spent properly. So what advice do you have for them?
Thank you, Khadija, for having me. I feel so honored because I get to share all my lessons from so many different parts of the world, and I'm gonna refer to them. And um, just generally in life, I really enjoy storytelling, so I'm gonna use a lot of stories to explain a really important concept. Um, we're gonna keep this in English because I think we had people who don't speak Urdu here in the call, so I'm gonna make sure everyone understands it. Okay. Um, so I'm supposed to talk about effective marketing strategies for startups. And before I start, really, there are a ton of videos that are going to teach you how to go out and make a nice Facebook ad campaign, or how to run an Instagram campaign or a TikTok campaign, or influencer marketing, or how to leverage these things. But I'm not going to talk about that. I think there's a lot of content about that. I want to focus on what I feel is really important for a startup to really focus on, and to build an effective marketing strategy. So really the focus is going to be on the words effective and strategy. Before we start, we have to understand that startups are really unique because they're very small, and each person, if anybody has ever started a company or worked in a startup, you know that one person is doing so many different things, and you don't have a bureaucracy. So you don't, so it's different from a large scale established organizations. You just think of ideas and you're very fast moving. And they have a really unique advantage, which large corporations genuinely do not, which is you are potentially very close to your customer, or at least you should be. And if you're not, then you're doing something really bad. So let's take a step back and let's go to what you should have done before you launched. Whether you're in product or service, I think this applies to both. Most of this will apply to both sides of the picture. So the first thing is you need to know your product really well. I know it sounds obvious, but very few people really understand it. You really need to genuinely understand the product or service that you're selling. What are the pain points that it's solving for your market? Who is it solving that problem for? And then the second part is really important, like your target market. The narrower you make this thing to be, the better it's going to be for your company. What product are you selling? Who needs it? Is it, for example, is it men? If yes, then what age are those men? Are they young or old? How much money do they have? What is their disposable income? Can they spend all of that money on whatever it is that you're selling? What does a day in their life look like? What are the issues that they're facing every day, and how does your product solve any one of those issues? And then once you're done answering that, it's gonna help you distinguish a really important point, but I think Mudassir was also trying to get to, is that is when you know whether you can actually run a business or whether it's a passion project that you and your friends decided to start. So those two are very different things. But there's a catch here. You cannot find out these answers just by doing customer discovery interviews, which also, by the way, is super important. Before you launch a product or service, please interview your customer, ask them questions, do surveys, do all of those things. But surveys and customer discovery interviews are not enough. Why? Because when you ask people a question, they're gonna lie to you, and people are gonna be very lazy. So the problem with surveys is, let's say you've built a prototype for an app. You're launching your website or an app, and you're selling something, and you go to people and you're like, hey, I built this thing, what do you think of it? The majority of them are not going to tell you what they think of it, because if it looks really nice, particularly, they're going to be like, in the back of their mind, like, this is a very human psychology thing. They're going to think, oh my God, this person hard on it, they've obviously clearly spent so much time and effort on it, and they're going to say, oh yeah, it's really nice. And then you'll ask them, are you going to buy it? And then they will say, yeah, I'll definitely buy it. But everything is going to change when you ask them to actually put a price on it and actually pay for it. They are not going to buy that thing. So you need to have multiple layers of these things. And a good thing for you to do is like try to sort of tap into the waters, launch like some kind of campaign, like have a waiting list, or for example, a very good idea for you to understand, okay, how many people actually need this product. But so this is a huge issue with like doing surveys and trying to ask people what they want. And this is another issue because most of the times people don't know what their pain points are. So even if you're asking them questions, if they don't realize that something in their life can be improved, they cannot tell you about it. So what do? You go out and you observe them. If your target market is boys in university aged 18 to 24, you get out of your house and you go and you spend time in a university and you ask them questions over and over again, but also you observe them with all of your eyes, like your eyes, your everything needs to be there. And you need to find out what is their problem that even they don't even understand. I'm going to give an example. Back in the 50s in the US, like people were working men and working women, and they used to drive to work. But McDonald's was like primarily a burger and soda company. They made burgers and they made sodas, and that was it. But now people at McDonald's really, really studied their customer, and they realized, okay, these people are very busy. They need to get to work, and they dress really well, and they drive their own cars, right? Because back in the day, you didn't have like Ubers and stuff. This is 1950s or 60s we're talking about. But there's a problem. If like a businessman is going to work and he gets a burger and he's sitting in his car and biting into it, there are so many problems with that. One, he's driving. It's really difficult to eat a burger while you're driving. Two, it's going to fall on his shirt potentially, and then there's going to be a gigantic stain, and he's not going to get that funding money that he's trying to get in that boardroom. Nobody wants to fund someone who doesn't even know how to wash their clothes. Three, it's just so inconvenient, right? So what did McDonald's do? They thought, okay, this is a really big problem. Because they knew their customer, they advertised the perfect solution for it, which is a milkshake. You hold it in your hand, it comes in a cup, you put a straw in it, you can drink it while you're driving, and it fuels you enough to get through at least the first half of the day, whether you're a working man or a woman. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you understand your customer really well, like better than any of your competitors in the market, you know what problem you're going to solve for. And once you do that, you just tell them that. And it is so much easier for you than to try to, do a ton of cash burn on any kind of digital marketing or, these flamboyant ad campaigns or any of that stuff. Because fun fact, companies lose the most amount of cash burn actually goes into marketing. And the problem with it is you don't even know, like out of the $100,000 that you've dedicated to marketing budget, which exactly is working and which exactly isn't. Like, it's really difficult to see what marketing budget you're spending is just a waste of your money. So coming back to that, our story about McDonald's, really knowing your market segment is super, super critical, because that makes you learn about your product, and then you learn what is the job that my product is doing. So the milkshake that McDonald's was selling, it had so many more jobs. It wasn't just serving as a drink that you can drink on a hot summer day. It was serving as something that saves you time, something that fuels you through business meetings. If you notice, all these things I'm saying can be used as potential selling points that you can use for your marketing campaigns. Going off from that, it's the same thing with other examples. You can use razor blades, for example. They don't just help you shave your hair off. It helps you look clean. It helps you groom yourself. It helps you groom your beard. It helps you be more confident. It's quick and easy, and you can do it at your home, and you don't have to go visit a barber. So understand the job that your product or service is doing, and then tell that to your target segment customer that you worked really hard to actually narrow down in a few points before. I'm going to give two other really good examples that are actually local here. So one is Careem. Careem solved an issue that was super unique to Pakistani market. Women couldn't go out because we had a safety issue. People weren't, parents didn't trust where their daughters are going. They didn't trust who they're going to go with, all of that stuff. And then Careem solved for that by launching a ride sharing tracker. And then Uber realized, oh my God, Pakistan is a great market. We should enter here. And they did, but they couldn't compete with Careem because no matter what they did, they introduced so many things. They introduced carpooling. They were a bigger company with bigger marketing budget. Like on paper, they should have won, but they didn't. And I know this from a very dear friend on the inside who said that he would go to the CEO's office like every week and be like, we need to start a carpooling service at Careem because otherwise Uber's going to beat him. And the CEO would just look at him like, I know the market. I know our unique selling thing that we're selling for. We're giving people what they want. We're not going to do a carpool. And what ended up happening was Uber had to buy Careem. They literally could not compete with these people. And very recently, TikTok has taken over the market. They just introduced a feature where parents can control for their kids' content. And that's a really important pain point of the population. You can make it safe. And now their advertisement campaigns are super functional because all the mothers that were worried about, oh my God, our kids are using TikTok and they're wasting so much time, they're solving for all of those issues in their digital ad strategies. The point is, it's very critical to understand truly your market segment because only then can you actually leverage all the other tools for marketing to actually have either growth or either an influx of customers. And before I wrap it up, I want to make a really important point, which I've learned, and I have had a lot of VCs and mentors tell it to me as well, and I really think it works, is that in our country, ever since we started getting international venture capital funding, all the news around startups has been so focused on the money you raise that we have subconsciously started correlating that to success. So we've completely forgotten that there are ways and there are businesses that are very successful, like Patagonia. Recently, it's $1 billion company that just gave all of it away. That never rose a single dollar. It's all in-house. It's all like grown within the company. So I want to say this to all the founders out there that less money is probably a great thing for you. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding to go and have an effective marketing campaign, maybe to develop a product, maybe to scale. But if you are worried about money, don't be, because limited resources are going to force you to think super creatively. And that's when you're going to open your eyes to see who is in my network that I can leverage for this. How many university students, for example, can I go to and target this to? And if you're going to think so much more creatively, even if you're on a tighter budget. So don't let this this idea that funding is super critical to execute an effective campaign for marketing. And the examples for these are giant, like tech giants today. Meta, if you look at their early days, Zuckerberg just made Facebook. It wasn't that he was exploited from like a bigger level. It was just a profile page social network for Harvard students. Just a couple of hundred students were using it, but the product, it solved such a big need that it started growing really effectively, which brings me to my last point. The best growth for marketing, like the best growth hack a startup can have, is word of mouth marketing. No matter what you do, no matter how much money you spend on things, you cannot compensate for when a middle-aged auntie goes to her best friend and tells her, I want to send food to my husband in the office and I just bike it to him every day and he gets it super hot and super fresh. Nothing can beat that. You can spend crores or like millions of dollars on TV campaign and they just will not download that app. But if their best friend Seema from their committee party tells them that, this is a great app I'm using, that's your win. And the only way you can get to that point is if you have a solid product and if you know your product and if you really genuinely know your target market and you solve like problems for these people. So organic growth, because startups are really tight on money and budgets, and get creative thinking and just get to know your market and your product really well, like better than you think you know them, and just keep going at it. That's all I have to say. And I'm obviously happy to take any questions or have a discussion about it.
I have 1 to 2 questions from you.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much. A very insightful session for me as well. You talk about that auntie who use Bikea to send fruits. How to reach that auntie? With from which intent? Via awareness or via conversions? Let's say auntie used a bike app via convergence campaign or via awareness campaign.
Okay, so I think we're missing the point a little bit. The point I
Okay,
was trying to make was,
let me explain my question again. I am asking how to reach that auntie via awareness campaign or via convergence campaign, because people thinks only convergence campaign can give them sales. But so actually I need to know more about from this perspective.
no, you need to figure out whatever demographic it is, you need to figure out how to reach them. And you should have, ideally this should have been done when you were doing customer discovery interviews, because unless you are talking to these people already and solving for them, if you don't know how to reach them, you really will never figure out how to sell to them.
I believe her internet is
Yes.
malfunctioning.
Yes, I think she'll be back. So according to a report by Nielsen, as Zarfishar said, 92% of consumers and clients, customers are gained through word of mouth. So I think I totally agree with that, and you would too, Tala. So
Exactly.
yes, so till she returns, it was a very insightful session with a lot of good points. Because this is something that startups do sort of suffer from a lot, deciding which if she Zarfishar is back.
See, that was my pain point. I think that some really good internet company should find me from this webinar and solve this internet issue for me. But yes, I was saying, just go to that demographic. Nothing is stopping you. It sounds so crazy, but it's really that simple. Once you're on ground, once you find, or by you I mean someone from your team, once you find a way to get into like a single committee party, you will be so fascinated by the things that these people are going to talk about. And it doesn't just apply to this. If you're selling to students, go to a school, just go there and start
Yes.
telling them, hey guys, this is what we're doing, do you like it, do you not like it, would you use it? Or like, well, not really schools, because parents have to pay for that, so go to their parents. You really need to go to the circles that are gonna be dishing the money out of your pocket. And honestly, Talha, don't get caught up in like industry lingo, whether it's going to come from this method or that method. Just go do it. It's just
Yes.
as simple as that.
Yes, so the wonderful thing that I've learned from both the speakers today is that it's all about people. Whether it's from an investor's perspective, they're looking at the people that they will be investing in. And from a marketing point of view, Zarfisha very rightly said that it's the people that we need to understand them and their psychology and their needs better. So that's a very great point, Zarfisha. I've always been an online and a virtual person. It has really sort of encouraged me to actually go out in the field, because nothing beats that, as you said, actually going to the people and asking them and creating your brand awareness that I'm here and this is what I'm offering. So thank you so much for
You're
being
welcome.
here
And
today.
I'm going to take a last point to that. I had a friend
Yes,
who was in
yes.
America. She was doing her business, and her product was supposed to be in her country back in Africa. I'm not going to name because I'm not sure if she wants this disclosed, but she found all of her friends and family, and they went to the demographic and they interviewed these people like physically. Because as a founder, you just have to, you can't think about all the problems you're going to face. You need to close that part of your mind and open up the part of your brain that's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to go out, I'm just going to do it. So really the only way to finish your project is to just start it.
That's great advice.
That's great.
Tala, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't have
Ali?
any more questions. Ali, do you have any questions?
No, I have no question right now.
So thank
Okay.
you so much for being here, Zarfisha, and those of you who were watching, please feel free to leave any comments and any questions that you might have for our speakers, and we'll get back to you. On that note, good evening, good night, and good morning, wherever you might be. So
Bye-bye.
any ending note from you, Tala?
No, I believe Zarfisha clearly defined the power of networking, and that kind of bridge we are started a few days back to connect with startup founders, find their problems, or maybe so because many founders have some common problems, so we can just solve the problem by even discussing route. So I believe, thank you so much, Darfisha, all our guests who are just joining, who saw this video after that. Feel free to connect with us, and thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Allah
Bye
Hafiz.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Zarfisha.
Thank you. Allah
Bye.
Hafiz. Bye.
Bye to everybody.